Awesome. Well, welcome to tonight's Hormone Reboot. This is primarily going to be for women. So if there's any guys on here, maybe grab your wives, your girlfriends, your partners, and get them on here. So I'm excited to talk to women. I love to empower women to be all that God created them to be. And I think that this is a huge issue when we talk about hormones that many women suffer with. And they don't even have any idea that it's based on hormones. And so my goal tonight is just to empower you not only as women, but to change the way you view and manage your health from the inside out. Full life, we're on a mission to help everyone we meet experience a full life through experiencing real health. And so that's what I want to help you do today, because so much in our world, we have an outside-in approach to our health. And so we're constantly looking for another pill, another lotion, another surgery, another exercise program, another diet. We're constantly looking for outside things to make us healthy. But that's not how God designed us. God designed our bodies to function from the inside out. He created us with everything that we need to function and to heal. But sometimes throughout life, there becomes interferences there. And so it disrupts that healing and the body's ability to healing. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight, to help your body to remove those interferences that might be there so that your body can heal and function like it should. And I think that we can all agree maybe on one thing, is that our outside-in approach in our world is not working right now. I mean, it's never been working. We are sicker than ever before. We have children outliving, or parents outliving their children for the first time. I mean, we're only 5% of the entire globe's population, yet we consume over 75 to 80% of all the medications consumed in the world. Right? And so if drugs made you healthy, then we should be the healthiest, right? But we rank on the bottom. When they did a study, two Harvard doctors did a study where they compared 37 of the wealthiest countries. And the reason they did the wealthiest countries is because they wanted to compare apples to apples. And so they looked at who spends the most money on healthcare and who takes the most medications. Well, you can realize where we ranked when it came to that study. We spent the most money on healthcare, and we take the most medications. Like I said, we take over 75 to 80% of all the medications consumed in this world. Well, guess where we ranked when it came to the end of that study that those two doctors from Harvard did? We ranked dead last. And so we have got to start approaching our health in a different way, because the outside-in model, the more medications, more surgeries, different diets, it's not working. And so we got to start helping our body function from the inside out, just how God designed and made us to do. And so tonight I'm going to be talking about hormones. Hormones are chemicals that are produced by glands called your endocrine system, and they travel throughout your bloodstream to deliver different messages to different organs and tissues. And you'll see me looking down some. I have my notes here because I want to make sure that I get everything communicated to you that I have set out. And so hormones are really responsible, and they help regulate so many things in our body. They help regulate metabolism and appetite, heart rate, sleep cycles, reproductive cycles, sexual function, general growth and development, mood and stress levels, body temperature. I mean, the list is endless of what hormones help to regulate, and those are secreted through something called your endocrine system. And those are made up of several different organs in your body: your pituitary, your hypothalamus, your thyroid, your adrenal glands, to name a few. And so, but I'm going to really focus on two hormones today. I'm going to focus on a set of hormones, estrogen hormones, and I'm going to focus on adrenal hormones, because I think that we as women, I mean, we have a very anointed job, but we have a tough job, especially if you're in the season of life that I am in. I have 3 little kids, all 6 and under. I have our third one was a little boy, and he is all boy. Most of you heard he already broke his femur before he turned 2 years old. So he is rough, tough, and so I'm constantly on the go. And so our jobs are challenging, and so they can leave us feeling depleted. And so I really think that these two hormones, when we address this, it will help us. What's the word I'm looking for? It will really solve a lot of issues, or just a lot of things that we are feeling as moms, tired, exhausted, overwhelmed. Some of you feel anxious. Some of you, stress is out the roof, especially with what's going on in our country now. And so at the bottom and underlying all of that are hormones helping your body control and regulate that. And so that's why I'm addressing these hormones today, because I really feel that they're at the root of so many problems that women, whether you are a mom, so women, if you are out of childbearing years, out of raising children, do not leave, because I'm going to address how estrogen is affecting you as well. And so you want to pay attention to that. Make sure, if you want, tag your friends in this post, this video, because really women are affected all over. And so estrogen, when we talk about estrogen is the female hormone, right? It's what sets us apart from men. It's what has made our bones smaller and shorter. It's what makes our pelvis broader and shoulders narrower. So it prepares us for childbearing, not really with the shoulders, but our pelvis broader, because it helps with childbearing. It's what makes our voice box smaller, our vocal cord shorter, and it gives us that higher pitched voice. So it really just sets us apart from men. It also has to deal a lot with skin and bone and your liver and your heart. Actually, estrogen regulates cholesterol production in your liver, and so it helps protect against your heart and your arteries as well. And so estrogen just has a full array of jobs in the body. And so what I want to talk about, though, today is what happens when that becomes too much. Because that's what we really see when we talk about hormones. I think this ranks at the top of the list, because I think it affects, I know, it affects stress, so it affects other hormones in your body, it affects thyroid, it affects weight gain, and we'll talk more about that as we go on. The problem is when estrogen becomes too much, and so estrogen dominance. And so this, again, like I said, happens in both women in their reproductive years and women that are in menopause as well. And so problems, and we'll talk about these here in a minute, but problems with women in reproductive years is that we start to see fertility issues. We start to see really painful PMS symptoms, uterine fibroids. We start to see unexplained weight gain. In women that are past reproductive years, so in that perimenopausal or in that menopausal stage, we start to see things like hot flashes and night sweats and mood swings and again, fibroids. And so, and all of that has been associated with estrogen dominance. And so there are many cultures still in this world that have women that when they go into menopause, it's a very smooth transition. It really goes from you're able to have a baby and now you're not. Right? It's not like this disease that we've created in our culture that, we just absolutely, women dread the thought of going into menopause. There's a good thing you're not having monthly cycles anymore, so yay for that, right? But then now you're dealing with hot flashes, you're not sleeping well, you have all these mood swings, and your family doesn't look forward to it. And so we've really made menopause a disease. But in other cultures, it's a very, very smooth transition. It's actually a time of honor because women are moving into this different stage of their life. And so that's how it should be. But because we have too much estrogen floating around in our bodies, it's not. And reproductive years are not fun either, because women suffer from so many painful things. And so really, here's some signs of estrogen dominance that I said I already went through, but you can read: weight gain, menstrual problems, heavy or light period, bleeding. Estrogen dominance leaves people wondering where their period's at. It also leaves them wondering, like, why am I having 2 periods, and why is it so painful? And they fibrocystic breasts, uterine fibroids, like I said, loss of sex drive, depression, anxiety. All of these are symptoms of estrogen dominance. And so potential problems that these cause. And so what happens is that estrogen is metabolized in your liver. And it has 3 different pathways, not 6, 3 different pathways. So just so you know, I've barricaded myself in my room. So if you hear any kids or dogs or barking, I've hid myself as well as I could. So hopefully we don't have any interruptions. But so your estrogen is metabolized in your liver through 3 different pathways. And depending on the pathway that the estrogen will be converted to, it converts into good or bad metabolites. And so the one pathway, it's 2-hydroxy metabolic pathway, is considered the good pathway. And so it has the lowest risk for cancer and other problems. So it turns estrogen into good metabolites that the body can get rid of. Then also there is the 16 and the 4-hydroxy pathways, and these are considered the bad. Create the bad metabolites that put you at risk for breast cancer and other hormone-linked cancers. And so what happens is then it creates those estrogen dominant symptoms because your body, your liver is so congested that a lot of the estrogen is being metabolized through the 2 bad pathways, that it's creating all these bad metabolites that your body can't get rid of. And then so estrogen is just floating all over your body and wreaking havoc. And so some potential problems like you see on the screen are hormonal cancers. And what happens is this is a huge risk, probably one of the biggest risks associated with estrogen dominant women, and it's because that hormone cancers are associated with stored fat, which produces the most potent form of estradiol. So fat will produce the most potent form of estrogen called estradiol, And so this is a very harmful type of estrogen because it's more difficult for your body to detoxify. And so that is leading to more estrogen again circulating in the body, bad estrogen, and so it puts you at a huge risk for hormonal cancers such as breast and uterine. And this is the same with males as well, like testicular cancer. And so your fat then is producing that potent form called estradiol, and it's floating around. Your body's not able to detoxify it, so it sets you up for those hormonal cancers. Next thing it sets you up for is autoimmune diseases. So autoimmune diseases can have high levels of estrogen, can produce a huge inflammatory response in your body and in your immune system. So what happens is that your body increases these antibodies that start to attack your own tissues because of all of the inflammation that's going on due to estrogen. Now, also some estrogen, it has been shown to be protective in some autoimmune disorders such as multiple sclerosis, but that's only one. But it seems that the estrogen is most detrimental during the fluctuations of it. So the sharp fluctuations of estrogen that happen close to childbearing and menopause. And so it will contribute to the autoimmunity. And so the problem is that this is all types of estrogen. We're going to cover this here a little later, that in your system, whether it's natural hormone that your body is producing, whether it's a synthetic xenoestrogen that exists from our environment, these sharp fluctuations in estrogen create inflammation all over your body, causing your body to create antibodies that are literally attacking itself. And so it's putting your body in an autoimmune state to where it just cannot function properly. Also will set you up for thyroid problems as well. And so excess estrogen increases the level of something called thyroid binding globulin. And this is the protein that allows your thyroid hormones to travel all over the bloodstream. And so when your thyroid hormones are attached to this thyroid binding globulin, they remain inactive. And then, so your hormones can't be stored in your tissue and converted to their active form in order for you to fuel your body in its metabolic processes. So estrogen is increasing this binding hormone, so it's taking all of your thyroid hormones away. And so no wonder you're feeling fatigued. No wonder you can't lose that weight. And so estrogen is increasing that binding hormone and keeping those thyroid hormones inactive so that your body, in a form that your body cannot use. And the last thing, I guess I went out of order here per my slide. Last thing is yeast overgrowth. Research shows that exposing the candida to estrogen just increases its virulence. So it makes it 10 times worse. And women that are taking birth control or traditional hormone replacement therapy tend to be more susceptible to yeast infections, and this is why. And so you might be thinking like, well, my goodness, I'm not on hormone replacement therapy, I'm not on birth control, but why am I still having all these symptoms? Well, here are the top 9 ways that estrogen causes estrogen dominance in your body. One is through your food. and your food. And so commercially raised animals, they're pumped full of hormones and growth hormones so they can get bigger faster, so they can produce more milk faster. And so hormones, so those hormones, those growth hormones and those hormones that are affecting the animal are affecting you now. Then plus pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, all found on conventional produce, is known as endocrine disruptors. And so it's going to affect the way your body metabolizes estrogen as well as create it. And so that's why you always hear me. One of my first things I'll tell you is you want to do organic meats as much as possible. So buy organic meats. That's the first thing you move organic. And then you want to address the dirty dozen, or I think it's now the clean 15. You can look that list up online of vegetables that are okay to buy conventional and vegetables that you really all the time need to buy organic. So you're missing these endocrine disruptors. Next is water. I mean, water is heavily polluted with hormone disrupting compounds. Like I said, fertilizers, pesticides, synthetic and natural estrogens from the livestock. I mean, that they're peeing, pooping, and then prescription medications that are running off, unknown number of industrial chemicals from chemical plant runoff, disposal of plastics, and chemical landfills. I mean, all of this is affecting our water supply. So again, super important to address your water. There's systems like Berkey, and then I just forgot what our water system is. The whole house water system is cheaper than you may think, and so I forgot. But anyway, maybe I'll remember here. But you can, if I don't happen to remember, because this happens often, remember. So anytime I do a workshop, you can always guarantee that my mind will leave me at some point. It'll eventually come back, hopefully when my kids are older. But so text me about the water system, I can get it to you. But we did a whole house water system, and I had first used the Berkey system, which is just a counter, and I'm so glad I switched. And I wish I had done it sooner. I thought it was going to be a really big expense, so I was saving up for it, but it's not when you compare what it's going through. So text me, and I'll give you that info, because a lot of times they run a lot of specials too. And then personal care products, women, this is huge. One of the simplest things that you can do to start affecting your hormones is changing out your personal care products. On average, women use 10 to 15 body products a day. That's on your body, let alone what you're cleaning the house with and your yard and everything else. And so you come in contact with 126, on average, 126 different ingredients. And so the exposure adds up quickly, and because you're placing a lot of them on your skin, it bypasses everything and goes directly to your system. So lotions, shampoos, soaps, toothpaste, makeup. I love crunchy makeup, and that's one of the biggest, easiest things I thought was to switch, because the product works so well. And so again, text us, call us, drop it in the box below. Ask our teammates. I know a couple of our females are out on having babies, and so that's awesome. They've also got great recommendations, because we've tried a lot, because you can try a lot until you find something that works. So we always love to help give recommendation. I'm going to be talking about this next one here a little bit, but the gut dysbiosis. And so your gut microbiome regulates circulating estrogen using an enzyme called beta, I'm going to say this, glucuronidase, okay? I want to make sure I said that right. Beta glucuronidase. And so this enzyme, what it's supposed to is this enzyme works to metabolize estrogen, so break it down in order for it to get rid of. And so if you have a leaky gut, irritable bowel syndrome, there's no way that your body is breaking down estrogen like it should. And so again, this is going to help contribute to the rise of estrogen in your body. So it's always important to address your gut. Next is plastics of all forms, including bottles, food wrappers, storage containers. They have hormone mimicking xenoestrogens that can literally, they're very similar. If you put an estrogen or estrogen up next to a BPA molecule, their makeup is very, very similar, like one molecule off. And so your body recognizes these things as estrogen. And so not only are you having the estrogen your body is normally and naturally producing, then you have all of this floating around in your system. It creates a major health problem. And again, like I said, when these things, because every time you take a receipt from the store, that receipt is loaded with BPA. And this is because it's touching your skin, it's going directly to your system. Next is heavy metals. Heavy metals such as cadmium, lead, and mercury also have estrogen mimicking properties. And so these are also the presence of endocrine disrupting elements. And so that's why you got to be careful, especially when you're looking into vaccines and which vaccines or that you do or if you don't do any at all. They all have preservatives in them. And so you want to have estrogen mimicking things, and so you want to be careful and really consider that when you're considering, taking the vaccine. And then also too, you just have to remember you're coming in contact with many heavy metals throughout your day, and so when your system becomes overloaded, then it's not able to work properly. Next, your body fat. So excessive body fat, especially stored in your hips and your waist and your thighs, it's a leading cause of estrogen dominance. Not only does fat tissue absorb and store circulating estrogen in the bloodstream, but then it also synthesizes estrogen too. And so, so you have high levels of estrogen that's cueing your body to make more fat cells, and then your fat cells are then even making more estrogen. So it's just a really vicious cycle. And then hormone replacement therapy. Most of these, like in birth control, they contain estrogen with not the appropriate amount of progesterone to maintain a normal hormone balance. And the hormones used in these therapies are also synthetic hormones. And so again, your liver is not able to metabolize them, and it leads to DNA damage. And again, highly increases your risk for breast cancer and endometrial cancer, let alone strokes. And so you really want to always make sure you're reading the side effects. And then, and I'm going to preach to myself with this one, chronic stress, right? And especially with what we're dealing with all this COVID stuff, your body begins to use your sex hormone progesterone to make cortisol. And so low levels of progesterone lead to estrogen dominance. And so your body, when it's under that stress, is just trying to help it deal with it. And cortisol, although it gets a bad rap, it's a really good thing. It's a natural thing to do. And so so when your body's under constant stress, your progesterone is being used to make cortisol, so your progesterone's low, and anytime your estrogen or your progesterone is low, your estrogen's going to be high. And so these are just the top 9 causes that are estrogen dominant. So you want to look at removing these. And so I put together a few products throughout this tonight, because women constantly ask me, what can I do? And I'm going to tell you some products that I love and that I personally use. And this is one of them. This is one that I've noticed probably one of the biggest differences. Because and I was talking to my friend, she practices down in Tennessee, and we were talking just about when we're seeing women kind of with these estrogen dominant symptoms. Because for me, it was nothing that I ever dealt with. But it wasn't until after my third baby, and she agreed that it's usually after these third or fourth babies that, because our bodies are just tired and depleted, we've had a lot of kids in a short amount of time, that this estrogen starts to run rampant. And so this is something that I've used since having John Luke, that I've noticed a huge difference. Even Juan will be like, oh, I've noticed you must be taking your hormone balance. I'm like, yeah, I am. So this is something I can attest to personally. It's got things like DIM, chastity tree, calcium D-glutarate, broccoli extract, all things that are really good at lowering the estrogen and helping your body metabolize it properly. And so this is something I cannot recommend enough. And so since you guys are tuning into this workshop, we're going to give 10% off, and later in the workshop I'm going to be giving a big bundle that's going to give you an even greater discount, so you want to stick around for that. And so we're giving 10% off of all of our individual products tonight. So this is normally $54.99, and so tonight it's going to be $49. And so it's a great way to start taking advantage of this when there's a discount. So this is the Women's Hormone Balance. The next product, when it comes to managing estrogen levels, this is the Primary Detox of BioRay. Because your liver is what breaks down your estrogen and puts them into those good and bad metabolites like we talked about earlier. This is key. This also not only helps support your liver, it helps break down toxic heavy metals such as lead, mercury, and arsenic. And so again, remember those lead and mercury have estrogen mimicking properties, so it's going to contribute to your estrogen dominance. And so when I thought about, okay, what products do I really want to focus, because to be honest with you, there are still hundreds of hormones in your body that no one's identified yet. So there is hardly anyone that's a huge expert on this, me included. I will confess to that, but these are something that I've learned, that I've personally used, that I've personally seen great results with. And so these are why I put together these products. I mean, there's so many products that we could use and address different things different ways, but if I really just wanted to pick certain ones out, that's why I'm talking about these today. And so I really think this would be helpful in helping your liver detox. I know it will be helpful in helping your liver detox, turning those estrogen into good metabolites, and then also too helping get rid of those heavy metals that have estrogen mimicking properties. And so, like I said, it's 10% off tonight. Usually it's $35.99, and tonight it's $32.40. And so again, you're taking advantage of those discounts that add up. And like I said, here in a little bit, I'm going to be going through a women's hormone bundle that I put together that are going to offer you the biggest amount of savings. Next one I want to talk about is adrenal hormones. I'm going to try and move through this quickly because I know you guys have better things to do than sit here and listen to me, but this is huge. Adrenal fatigue. Your adrenals, are primary role is to produce and regulate a stress hormone called cortisol. They also produce sex hormones such as estrogen and progesterone. They also do neurotransmitters such as adrenaline and norepinephrine and dopamine. And so it has a huge role. And let's see. And so they help also regulate metabolism and communicate with other organs like the brain, the kidneys, and the reproductive system. And so when your adrenals are exhausted, it can affect your hormone levels, your reproductive levels. And so it's a huge issue, especially with, again, what we're going through right now, just everything happening in our country. And so cortisol. I'm going to talk about this. Cortisol gets a huge bad rap in our country, but I want you to know that it's a really good thing. It's an innate response that God created in your body to help you deal with stress, right? There are times that we got to get up and go and while we're doing a presentation or talking to others, we want to get excited, or, somebody's chasing us, a bear's chasing us, or you've heard those stories of moms being able to turn cars over, get them off their child when they're under them. It helps your body adapt to do what it needs to do, and it's called that fight or flight response. And so it allows your body to pump you up and helps you go, right? But the problem is that it should come back down. And that's where we find an issue in our society, because it never does. There's always another bear chasing you, right? And always another thing to fight in the form of like a traffic jams, financial worries, work deadlines, COVID-19, school, what school's going to look like next year for you guys that go the kids go to school. Like it's constant. Our stress is constant. That bear chasing us is always coming, and it just has different forms. And so when you have chronic elevated cortisol levels, it's shown to be linked to weight gain, high blood pressure, reduced libido, type 2 diabetes, immune system response, and testosterone in men. And so that we want to help our adrenals and help our body be able to lower the cortisol properly. Because when our body is creating cortisol, and then it's no longer regulating estrogen and progesterone like it should, because it's too busy creating cortisol. And so then the cortisol, when it's released, it goes back up to your brain and says, oh yeah, we're in a really stressful situation, we need to keep going. And then your brain then is sending messages down to your ovaries saying, hey, we're in a stressful situation. Probably not the best time to have a baby during a famine, or during famine, and where we're having to like survive in a survival mode. So it keeps your body in a constant state of survival mode. And so of course it's going to focus on keeping your body safe and going, and not on producing a child and creating an environment for that to do so, if that makes sense. So this next thing, when we come to hormones, so I put this on here. I thought it was funny. I Googled, just so I can have pictures for my PowerPoint, I Googled adrenal fatigue photos, and this is what happens. And I think we all can relate to this. Excuse me. Just make sure that was still going. And so, Next thing I want to talk about is your gut hormone connection. Again, this can be a whole other workshop all on its own, but your gut literally contains 100 trillion bacteria that play a significant role in your health. 70 to 80% of all your immune system lies within your gut, and so it's not surprising that we see so many autoimmune disorders that can be traced back to the gut. And so more specifically is that there are certain bacteria and genes called estrobolome, and they produce essential enzymes that help metabolize estrogen. And so it's a vital elimination, like I talked about earlier. It's a vital elimination process on getting rid of estrogen and lowering it. So it's important that you have friendly and healthy gut bacteria that will help your gut break these things down. And so poor gut health, bad diet, exposure to chemicals, chronic stress, they all suppress your good bacteria and they promote bad bacteria. And this will lead to toxic buildup of hormones as well as systemic inflammation all over your body. And so what happens is when you have systemic inflammation, that's when your immune system gets so run down that you become sick. You start to suffer then too. When you have this breakdown, this bad bacteria and this overwhelming of inflammation, you start to suffer with infertility, cramps and heavy bleeding, PCOS. It can go on and on and on. And so when your gut is off, so is your estrogen is going to be off. And so this is an important thing to address and helping seal your body. And these are different, like I said, this is a whole other topic that we could just dive into and spend the whole night on. So you want to start addressing your gut to help your gut. So being on a good probiotic at minimal, eating lots of fermented food will help create good, healthy bacteria in your gut. And so when I think about adrenal fatigue, I want to talk about Adrenal Revive. Adrenal Revive, it has adaptogenic herbs, and adaptogenic herbs are really what they say, what's in their name. It helps your body adapt. It helps your body do what it's normally meant to do. And these adaptogenic herbs, such as ginseng, ashwagandha, rhodiola, they all are adaptogenic herbs that will help your body and your adrenals adapt to the constant stressors or whatever coming their way. And so sometimes just taking what's on the bottle isn't good enough. Sometimes some of you may need more. So taking these adaptogens when you feel like you're crashing or when you feel like you're sluggish, you might have to take more throughout the day to help your adrenals cope, to get the energy that you need to suppress the cortisol so that your body can function. And so this is one that I can't recommend highly enough. And so again, it's 10% off tonight. And so tonight's price will be $26 instead of $28.99. And so take advantage of these discounts because they're not always there. And so I can't say enough about this Adrenal Revive. Another thing, adrenal energy. So some of you have had such chronic stress levels for so long that you need your adrenals need boosted. It needs some energy. And so this will really help your adrenals produce what they need to produce and give you that kind of energy kick when you start to feel fatigued and tired. I know this is one that I always take when I'm working full-time in the office, just because it's not something that I typically do. I will become fatigued and it's causing different stress on my body. It's a good stress and I love doing it, but it's just a different stress that I don't deal with every day. And so this is something that I'll always take that just to help support my body so that I can maintain, so I'm not creating inflammation. So because of cortisol over my body, and just helps keep me healthy and going and functioning at a high level. So again, 10% off. It's going to give you another great savings on these individual products. Instead of $24.99, it's now tonight's going to be $22.49. So again, 10% off that. But here's really what I really want to talk about, and I told you that this is going to be your greatest savings because I've taken all of these and bundled them together, and then I've added the daily essentials for women. And so this daily essentials for women, why I added it is because it has, I have the box here so I didn't forget all that was in it. It's got a B complex, which when you're stressed, all your B vitamins become very, very depleted. It's got vitamin D or hormone D, and it's got probiotics in it, so it's going to help address your immune system. It's going to has an optimal omega in it, so it's going to that inflammation that chronic stress and chronic estrogen dominance creates. It's going to help lower those optimal omegas. It's got magnesium glycinate in it, so again, magnesium becomes depleted when there's estrogen dominance and chronic stress. It also helps with phase 2 liver detoxification. So again, helping get rid of helping your liver, helping your liver get rid of the estrogen properly and turn them into good metabolites. And it also has women's multivitamin as well. And for those of you who are MTHFR, it has the folate in it. And so I did forget, and I want to go back real quick, is that those of you with MTHFR, those of you that have MTHFR, it impairs your ability to methylate and detoxify. And that goes for your estrogen as well. And so know that your body is going to need even extra support if you have MTHFR, because it's already not methylating and it's already not detoxifying your body as efficiently as it should. And so it's really going to need a lot of support to keep your detoxification pathways open and to keep your hormones down. So what I've done is I've combined all the supplements that I've talked about up until this point and put them in there. And what I'm going to do for this bundle is going to be 20% off. And so, sorry, my video is blocking here. Let me move it. There we go. Instead of, it's going to be 20% off, so it's going to give you a total savings of $49. And so instead of $244.95, it's going to be $195.95. That's a savings of $49. So this is the best way to take advantage. It's 20% off and allows you to get the whole hormone package that I really think will be beneficial for you. Let me click on here again. There we go. Cool. And so again, we're going to go through this. I'm almost finished here. Is that you really cannot just address one area of your health. You just can't address your hormones without addressing your nutrition. You can't address your hormones without addressing your nervous system. You can't address your hormones without exercising. So health, when you think about health, and that's why we talk about the 5 essentials in our office, you really have to incorporate all areas of your health so that your body can heal and function at its most optimal level. And so we're just going to run through a few of these, not addressing all the essentials, but you have to, when you're talking about hormones, you want to avoid stimulants. It hits your adrenal glands. It causes that energy surge, but then it causes it to fade away, so it leaves you needing more caffeine, and it's a temporary mood boost. But what it's been shown to do is increase estrogen and cortisol levels, and so that's what you're trying to decrease. So again, this is a big thing that we tend to turn to, myself included. I only started drinking coffee a year ago, but now I love the taste of it. But it's a stimulant, and so I've got to really watch as I work with my hormones to lower that. Next thing I want to talk about is sugar. Sugar is huge when we talk about hormones, and it creates so much inflammation all over your body. It lowers your sex hormone binding globulin, so the thing that will attach to your estrogen and get rid of it. So when you lower that with sugar, then it increases estrogen in your body. It also causes insulin resistance, which increases fat cells, which then produce more estrogen and inflammation. I mean, so it's a vicious cycle. And then again, in men, it will also decrease testosterone, but it really, the biggest thing it disrupts is your hormone insulin, and so it's going to lead to more estrogen and testosterone floating around in your body, so increasing these hormone levels. And so also, when you're insulin resistant, you also become weight loss resistant as well, because your body's too busy burning sugar and not the fat or the estrogen that is stored and produced. And then mindset. I mean, can't talk enough about that. What was it Henry Ford? He said, if you think you are, or you think you're not, or something like that, you're right. So it's like, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. That's what he said. And that's so true. So mindset becomes a huge issue. So know that, and remind yourself that your body was made to function and heal. You're not meant to live in a menopause state. You're not meant for your hormones to be out of control. Know that that's not normal. So remind yourself of that. Remind yourself that your body is perfect, that it was created with all that it needs to heal. So just some stress management. Be aware of how you deal with your stress. Find the good. Try and find the good in everything. Even with this whole Corona thing, there's a lot of good that have come about this. I knew that one day I just sat down because I was kind of frustrated with just everything going on, and I just said, you know what, I need to focus on what's some good, and some good things is that I got to spend more time with my kids, and so focus time with my kids, and so just finding the good, taking deep breaths, right? And grounding. I think this is super important. There's been lots of studies that shown grounding is just really getting away of all technology, walking barefoot outside, so it's kind of grounding you, connecting you, kind of getting you away of all of the disturbances. It's really been shown to decrease hormones and regulate them as well. Oxygen and exercise, again, it will decrease. Studies have shown that it will create anti-anxiety effects, as well as it will lower, studies have shown too that it helps lower estrogen. And I don't know about you, I know for me that I just feel more balanced when I'm done exercising. I'm like, okay, just because it helps balance and regulates your hormones. Again, I'm not going to go deep into that. And again, minimizing toxins, right? If you don't ever, there's always a cause. To everything, there always is a cause, and you always need to remember that. And so if you don't quit putting toxins inside your body, then you'll never be able to get rid of them. You'll never be able to get on top of it. So you want to minimize the toxins, especially because your liver is your main detox organ, and it's the one breaking down this estrogen the most. And so this is the very important one, and I put it last because I wanted to talk about it the most, is that chiropractic care. Because so many of you out there, like, and this is for people that aren't patients in our office, so many of you out there like, man, I've tried everything. I have tried all the diets. I've tried all the eating plans. I've tried all the organic foods. I've tried all the supplements, and I've tried all the medications, but it's not working. No matter what I do, I always hit a plateau. I always fade out. I never have enough energy. I constantly can't get enough sleep. And so it's because you failed to address one thing, and that's your nervous system. Your nervous system, or your neuroendocrine system, is what literally controls everything in your body, and that is your brain and your spinal cord, and then all of your endocrine organs that you see here in this picture. And how your brain communicates with that is that your brain sends messages down your spine and out and across the nerves that come out of your back. All of these nerves are connected to every cell, every tissue, and every organ in your body. So it's literally telling your heart how to beat, your lungs how to breathe, your adrenals how to function, your liver how to detoxify. It controls literally everything. And it's this only system in your body that God completely encased in bone for its protection, because it was that important. So your brain is surrounded by your skull, and your spine is surrounded by each individual vertebra. And so when we look at you, we want it to be straight from front to back. And when we look at you from like a side view, you should have 3 curves on your top, middle, and lower. That is a normal position in your spine. And what that normal position does is it allows your brain to freely communicate with your body, telling it how to function and to heal. But throughout life, whether it be through accidents, injuries, falls, things we do on a repetitive basis, having children, car accidents, what happens is it causes those bones to shift out of place. And when those bones shift out of place, it will put pressure on the nerve that's exiting from that bone. So whatever at the end of that organ, whether it be your adrenal glands, whether it be your thyroid, whether it be your liver, those are not able to function properly because the message is coming from the brain trying to get across those nerves to tell that organ how to function, heal properly, are being interrupted. And that's what we call a subluxation or misalignment. And you can see here, I just put this in here. You can see this is from TexNeck. What it's doing is it's cutting off your spinal cord and that brain flow. So what the messages coming from your brain are being completely shut off there because of the constant pressure of your neck. That's created a subluxation, putting pressure on that cord, not allowing the brain to communicate with your body. Sorry about that. Constant warning signs that you have nerve interference or headaches, menstrual problems, high blood pressure, depression, insomnia, numbness and tingling, neck pain, dizziness, fatigue, acid reflux, and these are just some signs that I put on here tonight. There's another list, but these are all signs of nervous system interference or damage. It's the way your body communicates with you. It's saying, hey, there's something going on at an inside level that I need help with. It's no different than when an oil light goes on in your car. The oil light goes on in your car because your car is telling you, hey, there's I need oil inside. I need an oil change in order for me to continue to function and move properly. Right? Well, that's what your body is doing to you. It's communicating to you. Symptoms are not normal, although they might have become very common for some of you. These headaches, these menstrual problems, these hot flashes, although they become very common to you, they're not normal. They're not normal. And no different than your oil light. You don't slap a piece of tape on it and drive on, right? Why? Because your car would blow up. Well, that's no different than your warning signs and these symptoms that your body is giving you. But we do it all the time. We take birth control. We take over-the-counter medications. We take supplements. We are on diet plans. We're on medications. We're on lotion. I mean, all these things. All of those things are really, even things that are natural, are just covering up an underlying cause, because everything has a cause. And your body needs no help with healing it. It just needs no interference. And so if you have these signs, or if you're that person that you've tried all the diet plans, you've tried all the supplements, you've tried all the organic foods, you've tried the medications, and nothing seems to be working, this is your next step. Because if your brain cannot communicate with those parts of your body properly, it doesn't matter. You could put $1 million worth of organic foods and supplements and exercise plans into your body, but your body's not going to know how to digest and assimilate those things properly. So we first have to make sure that your nervous system, that literally controls everything in your body, is healing and functioning as it should. So what's your action steps with this? Before you buy any supplements, before you put yourself on any supplements, any eating plan, you have to address your nervous system, because if you don't, you're just wasting your money. Do not buy any of the supplements that I told you about today. Do not buy any of them unless you have your nervous system taken care of, because your body's not going to know how to digest and use those properly. And so it's not going to matter. You might see a little change, but I'll promise you this, it'll go right back, because all you've done is cover up a symptom, no different than you cover up your headache, or no different than you cover up your period cramps with an Advil. They always come back, because you've not addressed what's causing them. You've just covered up this symptom. And so what that looks like is setting up a first consultation with our office. And what that is it's a one-on-one consultation with one of our doctors. We'll do a posture analysis and range of motion. Again, because remember, your structure will determine the function of your body, so that's what we start to look at. And then we look at an SEMG scan. It's like a EKG of your heart, but it looks at the muscles and nerves of your spine and how well those are firing. And so it'll let us know where there's interference. And based off of what we find on those, we may order X-rays. So any X-rays that are needed. Now the total value of that in our office is normally is $130. But when you come and when you sit here and listen to me for the night, or when you've taken part of one of our workshops in our office, we like to discount that, because Dr. Juan and I have vowed from the very beginnings that we want to be a part of the solution and not the problem. And so normally it's $130, but because you've listened to us tonight, because you've taken time out of your evening, we want to discount that by 60% down to $52. And so that's $78 of savings that'll allow you to see what's going on, and allow you to see what's going on and help you identify what's maybe at the root cause of a lot of your problems and a lot of your hormone issues. So I urge you, you can call our office today. It's 937-552-7364. Now the number will be down low in the link as well. And so I urge you to call and make that consultation before you do anything else, before you buy any of these supplements. You have to address the healing and functioning of your body first, because all the rest of it doesn't matter until your body's functioning and able to assimilate and digest those things properly. And so if you are a patient in our office, the way you order the supplements is there's a link down below. It's a private checkout, so you go and click on the supplements or the bundles that you would like, and you collect that, and then you'll be able to pay it over the phone, and then we'll have your order within the next few days or over this next week in the office waiting for you. And so, and if you're not a patient, don't feel comfortable coming in the office, we'll be happy to bring them out to your car for you, so it's easy pickup. So if you have any questions, like I said, comment below, and I would love to answer. Now I do know that I had some questions, and I think I pretty much addressed all of your questions that I saw in the chat, but I will be here addressing questions too, and I know some of you posted some earlier. So I wanted to make sure that I hit those, and I'm pretty sure that I did. But feel free to text me, email me, or call me with anything. I'd love to help answer the best that I can. One second. I'm just looking at my phone. I cannot find those. But anyway, so if you have any other questions or concerns, I would love to help you answer those. If not, you guys have a good evening.